Scott wakes up at 5 a.m. Told me he's feeling it today. Working at that coffee shop life. But what I really like is that, I mean, Scott's a young guy and he's already listening to his body. So he's got 6 hours of sleep last night. And I mean, what's that going to do? It's going to influence your level of recovery.
Very tired.
Influence your level of inflammation, right? Influence your soft tissues a little bit. I mean, just a little generalized feeling of fatigue. And so he's just getting himself started slowly.
Yeah. Definitely got to take it slow. Especially because I played for like 3 hours yesterday. I got like 6 hours of sleep, so my energy levels are very low.
So he hooped for about 3 hours yesterday. And so he's just doing a nice live warm-up with a live dribble. Y'all, like, this is probably the best way, my favorite way to warm up, is actually have a ball in your hands. So you're getting your hips opened up. You go forward, you get your backwards retreating dribbles, get your handle woken up a little bit, get your tweens woken up. What he was also doing was getting his hips open, with the side-to-side trotting. I'm a huge fan of that, and also, me personally, I like to do a little bit of the karaoke step to kind of really get those hips turning over.
Yeah, a little one of these. Let's give that a shot real quick.
Yeah. Can you do it with a live dribble? It's really hard. Yeah.
That is weird.
Super weird.
Oh, coming back is weirder.
I really like that retreating. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it helps to look down at the ball.
Yeah.
That's also why I'm looking down a little bit, just to warm up.
Yeah.
It's not about having to be pounding it really hard right away and feeling. Because I mean, if I started pounding it, I would just lose it all the time.
Yeah.
Just gotta warm up, get the hands feeling, especially outside where the ball is kind of sucky. Warm up the knees and the ankles a little bit.
Yeah, knees and ankles. See, if you're a young guy, if you're a young guy watching this, just keep in mind when you're young, you never feel like warming up, you never feel like stretching, you never feel like warming down. You even wonder if there's even a reason that people even do this stuff, right? You get a little bit older, your body will tell you why you need to do this stuff, but
you need it. Yeah.
You really got to do this, and just so that y'all understand, I mean, you're getting your skills warmed up, you're getting your mind warmed up, you're getting your heart warmed up, you're getting your body temperature warmed up, you're getting your soft tissues, your muscles warmed up.
Central nervous system for sure.
Central nervous system, literally everything. So this is going to help you from a skills basis perspective, but also just with your physical performance.
I'm less sleepy than I was before, just because I woke up a little bit.
So just treat yourself well. Take it easy as you're warming up. Be easy on yourself mentally. Get into a feeling of flow. Just let it happen. It's about time that we introduced ourselves.
Oh yeah.
So first we're going to introduce Scott to you. What's your name? Where are you from?
Well, I'm Scott Deal. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. But I've lived in Austin here for, 14, 15 years, something like that. I've been off and on. I went overseas for a couple years, went back to Chicago for a year, but now Austin is my home currently.
So tell them about your interesting college career and what happened there.
So I went to a small college called Olivet Nazarene University. It's outside, that's when I was back in Chicago. It's outside in this town called Kankakee. I went there and I basically played JV ball at those smaller schools that got JV and a varsity team in college. And so it's an NAIA school, really small level. I had a really rough year there. Like I started out pretty strong, but it just quickly tanked. And then I decided to drop out because I wanted to play overseas. And I was like, well, I could stick it out here for 4 years, but kind of want to drop out and try training on my own and try seeing what it looks like to pursue overseas ball outside of a college context. And so that's what I did. Yeah.
So, do you remember how we met?
I do. I remember exactly how we met because we were working out. I was working out in the Y doing some Poliquin split squats. And you came up to me and you were like, dude, is that knees over toes guy exercises? And I was like, well, kinda. And then we just started talking about it. And I don't remember, like, I think you mentioned after that, I don't remember how kind of we got into it afterwards. I think I talked about how I was going overseas to play ball. And I think you told me then that you were a hooper yourself, and I think it kind of just went from there.
For sure. So, we started this podcast. I mean, we have this relationship going, but tell them about what you're doing with your training side of stuff.
Yeah, so when I was over in Croatia is where I played these last 2 years, and when I was over there this last year, I wanted to start trying to look into online businesses and how I could start creating a more efficient and effective income for myself. And so what I learned a ton about training through my mentor, Phil Gephardt, and then also through my own experiences with basketball and training myself while I was overseas. And so I was like, well, I got all this knowledge, might as well put it to work. And so now I have an online training business called TRD Training, which I've been building and growing for about the past 6 months-ish. And yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm incorporating athletic training, rehab training, and just overall strength training. And it's been a lot of fun. I love being an entrepreneur. It's a good time.
Sweet. So how about one fun or quirky fact about yourself?
Fun or quirky fact? Oh, I have a killer deep dish pizza recipe. Being a Chicago guy, I have to. So, yeah. Miles, you still have yet to try that.
And I do want to try it.
We'll make it happen one of these days. We'll make it happen. All right, Miles. Give us a little introduction on your name, background, where you're from, and what you do.
I am Miles Roberto. I come from California, even though I have a pretty diverse background in terms of where I'm from. I was born in Chicago, Illinois. I think that's the same as Scott. I was a baby there. I lived there for 2 years. Then my parents moved to Minnesota. Then I had my little boy years in Tucson, Arizona, where it was super hot, but it was pretty formative for me because it made me fall in love with being in nature and being out in the mountains. And so since I was 11, I grew up in California. But since then, I went to Colorado for 4 years for college, and I've been in Texas for 5 years.
Alrighty. Okay, so tell us a little bit about how you started playing basketball.
That's actually an interesting story. I've been doing this for a minute now for sure, but my start came from soccer. So I've been an athlete my whole life. It's just that back in those earlier days, I was the kind of captain MVP of a bunch of soccer teams. So I was a high-level soccer player growing up, and I had some hip flexor injuries actually that were career-ending for soccer. But I needed a new outlet, so it became basketball, and that's because, you know, on the playground, that's what I was doing since I was a little boy, was basketball. It was just my second sport. So once I got in college, I started taking basketball super seriously. Obviously, I sucked. I didn't know how to shoot. I actually shot with the wrong hand. I shot a kind of two-handed shot because I'm actually left-handed, but I was shooting right-handed at the time. So literally I had to figure out like what hand I should shoot the ball with. I had to figure out everything, and I just hooped really hard at the rec center at my college. And I was mostly just rebounding and hustling for a while. And then I just wanted to get really good. And I was the guy who was on college who was carrying my ball to class and actually dribbling around the campus. And I was so bad at dribbling at that time that like I was constantly hitting my nails. So that's where I was in college, but that's about 10 years in the past now. So I've had about 10 years of like training basketball super hardcore, and it was in the last few years that I realized that I wanted to take it to the next level and get really good. And so that's when it's like you watch a lot of tape, you figure out the X's and O's, and train with a lot of purpose. And so that's what I've been doing. And so that led me to thinking that I wanted to start a TikTok, and I actually made a YouTube channel back when I was in college. So I first got into the content creation game like 10 years ago. Yeah, so it's been a minute, but I just love basketball and this is what I do now.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even know about the YouTube channel. I guess we got some digging that we got to do and see some old videos.
See if y'all can find it. I'll be embarrassed.
That's awesome. You got to plug some of those old videos sometime on your TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so what is this? So we've talked about kind of what the podcast is before, but what are we doing out here on a court today in a little more of a vlog style and a much more unique format? So explain what that is now and what that'll be going forward.
So y'all saw that we were doing a podcast where we were trying to keep the topics super wide open. We wanted to talk about sports. We wanted to talk about training. We wanted to talk about the mental side of being an athlete, mental health, just skill acquisition, everything like that. Things that we thought you would enjoy. And we found, because of our specific relationship and the logistics of our lives right now, that it's a little bit better for us to go to a vlogging style. I need to get clips for my TikTok. He needs to get training clips for his TRD training. So we figured that we can just fit this into our lives and have more fun interacting with each other, but also interacting with you guys. If we just show you in real time training in the gym, lifting weights, working on body composition, working on fitness, and also working on b-ball skills. So we just wanted to bring you the most interesting and dynamic content we could.
All right, sick. Well, we're about to show you some of that right now.
Sweet. All right, so we're gonna make that transition. We introduced ourselves. We told you why we're doing this vlog. And now let's get into a little bit of skill acquisition, skill breakdown. So I made a TikTok that's going a little bit viral yesterday. People were asking us, or people were asking me, what is this kind of Smitty move, or this kind of pivoting that I was talking about when I was talking about Jordan Poole, who has elite footwork. So I'm gonna walk you through basically what that move looks like, and then I'm gonna walk you through kind of working through that with Scott. So the move we're talking about is the ability to be attacking, and in any kind of ability to at any given time to switch your hips. But the Smitty is where you're going and you temporarily turn your back and look like you're retreating, but then keep going forward, right? So this is what it's gonna look like in slow motion with a live dribble. You're gonna come and then go, right? And you can do that at a variety of paces. You can do it slow, you can do it fast. You just want to avoid carrying. And so another thing this is like a swing step, as people like to call it, a hip shift, a hip pivot. The way you get into this fundamentally is you throw that ball out front, you come and get it, and when this leading foot strikes, you allow it to function as a pivot. So I'm gonna pivot now around that foot. I'm gonna carry the ball for now because I'm showing you, but I'm just gonna pivot and then go. And you can do this in a variety of ways. You can do it halfway, right? You can do it really long, where you go, right? So there's a lot of variety of options here. Let's get right into it with Scott. All right, you just saw my basic version of the Smitty, or this hip swivel kind of hesitation. Now Scott's gonna give you his rendition of this move.
All right, so the way I normally do it is I'll either have it when a guy's kind of riding my hip, or he's a little shading me one side. I like to go right hand just because it's my dominant hand, and it's a really good way to protect it the way I do it. Normally what I'll do is kind of like a dribble and then pivot like that. So it's less of a push cross into it, it's more just a boom, pivot. So I'll show you facing the basket. So it's boom. Does that make sense? So again, I'll face it this way where it's like, just like that. That's how I normally do it. It's a very protected version. It's a lot less downhill. If you're going this way, that's a little more downhill, as opposed to the way I'm doing it would often be out of a triple threat or something like that.
For sure. So let's just both give how we like to do this move. So yeah, I guess Scott was saying, and like I would agree with this, I like to give this move with a push cross to get into it. show them yours.
All right. So again, mine is more of out of like a triple threat or something. You can even start like facing like this. Okay, dribble.
I love it. I love it.
That kind of thing. So it's a little, the pivot doesn't even have to come out of a space where you're dribbling in the way I do it. It's more about, like you said, the hip polarity shift and the footwork shift and the pivot and so on.
Right.
Like that.
Can you show them your best version of just consecutive hip swivels? Do you have that?
Like we're just walking and dribbling?
Yeah. How you would he's gonna show how he would constantly change his hip polarity.
Let's give this a shot. This is new to me, so we'll see what it looks like. Oh, that's weird. We back it up a little bit and try one more time to see how it feels. Because if I'm just doing it on my own, this is all I'm thinking of.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like I would literally do that every time. That's kind of how I would do it, honestly. If I was, I'm thinking a little bit about it.
Right.
But yeah.
So the way that I've learned how to really learn about hip polarity, other than obviously if you're here, you're giving some series in this position, right? And then you go, right, you're changing your hips. But I mean, just to learn how to swivel and get really active with your hips, you can do this kind of weird looking dance where you go like this. How's that look? Where you can just keep your active dribble in one hand and you're gonna start by just reaching across and then every time basically making sure that you're reaching out across.
Like across a line kind of in between you.
Yeah, you're doing this weird thing where you're constantly getting out across the line. And so naturally your hips are gonna follow. So you wanna give that a try?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Interesting. This will be weird. So it's like this, like that kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay.
And you're kind of trying to give a little hesi each time.
Oh man.
You don't have to cross the dribble though.
That's true. I'm
Keep it in
like
one hand.
instinctive about it. That's
Right.
I'll keep it right hand, see what happens. The rhythm, that's the hardest part for me, is the rhythm of it. That's really funky. I like that though, and I think it would break out. I have a tendency to get kind of staccato in my movements, and I think it would help me break out of that tendency a little bit because it's so awkward and out of my natural coordination habits.
For sure. Awkward, you know, guys, if something feels awkward in training, that's good. It should not feel good on your body when you're first learning it. That shows you that you're learning a whole new pattern. So just another comment on hip swiveling. If you really feel that you need to practice, plus practice your between the legs, obviously you can just spam this. Slow or fast or with the delay. So yeah, if you really feel that you need to practice, this is one of the biggest ways that you're gonna do it. And that's really bad for me right now with my torn hip labrum.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can also add like a little bit of an angle or even do kind of like a step.
Absolutely.
Like that. I like to do this a lot.
Absolutely.
Where it's very much just a step kind of thing. And that's a good way to, again, develop that footwork and that rhythm and movement patterns that you're probably not used to, especially if you're beginning or trying to break an old bad habit. Like that's what often happens to me.
For sure. All right, so let's close this segment up by showing them some counters. So if you're not going to go through with a full Smitty, what are some of the other options that you can have?
Okay. What I like to do a lot is a pullback because you can change the direction of your dribble really easily. And additionally, you can do a pull-up jump shot. And so if you freeze someone, you can shoot the jumper in their eye. So again, I'll do it out of the way that I like to do it. Kind of like this. You can do that where it's like a split stance. Boom, boom, like that. And you could be a step back. Or you can just do, you see that where it's just instead of going, instead of taking and pulling, it's boom, pull and back, and then you can take and pull, or just boom, pull back, and do a jump shot. So really the options are pretty endless. especially if you develop this pullback first. Boom, because then you can go here and cross over, pull up, or drive. You can also go boom, pull back, cross back. You can go pull back, shoot. You can go pull back and drive again. There's really lots. You basically open up into just a mobile face-up or triple threat. Zach Levine does it a lot.
Yep.
Jordan Clarkson does it a lot. Jordan Poole does it a lot. A lot of these great one-on-one face-up players do this type of movement all the time in games.
Well said. All right, with that, y'all, we're gonna call this a wrap on this first attempt at live vlog. Obviously, we have a lot to learn. Learn how to use a camera, learn how to get our angles, improve our microphone quality. Yeah, we're just gonna take this step by step.
Should we do 10,000 bricks out?
Oh yeah, and we have a bit of a tradition because we couldn't find a better way to end the video. So, hey Scott, do you know what time it is?
I know what time it is. 10,000 bricks.
10,000 bricks out.